What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Figma My Hero Academia Shoto Todoroki. And so here we have Todoroki posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. Todoroki does come with 3 different facial expressions. We do get the neutral expression, which he has on him right now. We do get a slight smirking expression. And then we get a grimacing expression. We also get several sets of hands. We do get a pair of fists. We get a pair of grip hands. We get a pair of style pose hands. And then we get a pair of clinching hands. Todoroki also comes with a flame effect, which does attach to his left arm. And then we do get an ice effect, which goes on the floor. And then of course he does come with a Figma display stage. Other than that, we really don't get anything else with Todoroki, which I feel it's very limited on his accessories given his powers and whatnot. But anyway, that's all Todoroki comes with. So let's actually take a closer look at his details. And so here we have a closer look at Todoroki, and I do think that Figma did a decent job capturing his likeness, although there is something off about the face that I can't quite put my finger on, that something does appear off about him. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the 2D coming into 3D that throws off some things, but I think out of the My Hero Academia figures that we've had a look at, be it Deku and Bakugo, he's probably the weakest one in terms of looking like the actual character. Now, that's not saying he's bad looking. I'm just saying he just doesn't have that same appeal that he does, that the other two have. And I hope that makes sense. There's something about his face that it's throwing me off. I know it's accurate, but there's something I feel like, I think it could be the coloring. The coloring could be off as well, but that's just my honest opinion, that something feels off about his look. But he's still a really nice looking figure. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things to like about this figure, especially with the paint application that they did with his hair. It's a very clean paint job, and there's so many times that can go wrong, but I do appreciate how clean that paint is. You can see it's a very distinct line between the red and the white. So really glad that they did do that. And then you can see his scar right here. And something I do appreciate, if we can get his hair off, is that they actually made the scar go all the way up to his hairline, which is something that is accurate to the show, and I'm really glad that they did include it with this figure. So having a look at his costume, there's really nothing too spectacular about Todoroki's costume. I think out of all the Figma figures so far, next to Deku, he has one of the most generic looking ones. It's not bad by any means, but there's really not much to go over. He's basically wearing a blue jumpsuit, which you can see he does have a clip right here at the neck. We do have some white lines along the collar. Then he is wearing this vest. I don't know what the purpose of the vest is. I'm pretty sure they did go over it in the anime and the manga, but it's slipping my mind at the moment. It's been a while since I've seen a My Hero Academia episode, but yeah, I do like the detailing on it. You can see the little vents and then where the clips, where these harnesses would go. Then we do have his utility belt with some of his I forgot, were they like little bombs or were they medical kits? I know they do serve some function in them, that these little silver parts are either like first aid or they can be used as like just whatever he needs. It's a utility belt, and that's one thing I do like about Todoroki, is that he actually has a functioning utility belt. Another interesting thing to note is that he does have his sleeves rolled up. As you can see, it does look really nice. They do cut off right here at his forearm, and unfortunately the way his arm is sculpted, it does cause some issues with articulation, and we'll go over that when we have a look at his articulation. But as far as the detailing on his pants go, I didn't notice at first, but he does have some detailing right here along his knees, which that's a really, really easy detail to miss, but I'm really glad that Figma did include it. Then we have a look at his boots, which again, there's nothing too spectacular. A lot of the things about Todoroki is that he's kind of plain, but that's kind of his appeal at the same time. They're just a off-white color boot with a gray stripe down the middle. And then you can see he does have almost like snowshoes where he has some, I'm guessing these would be spikes where he would be able to spike onto the ice that he creates, which again does function really nicely for what his powers are. or his quirk, I should say. So yeah, overall, there's really nothing too spectacular about Todoroki's design, and it's not the fault of the figure. That's basically how he is in the manga and in the anime. There's really nothing too spectacular about his costume. He keeps it simple, which is... it's really different seeing as how extravagant a lot of the costumes get. We get Todoroki, who has a very simple costume. But that's Todoroki for you guys. What we're going to do now is actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Todoroki posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Todoroki posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure in a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Todoroki posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we do have Todoroki posed next to a Figma Deku and a Figma Bakugo. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at Todoroki's articulation. Now, he does have some interesting points of articulation. Let's actually start off with his head really fast, so we can just pull off his face plate really quickly. You can see he has a ball joint right here at the neck, or from the neck going into the head, so that does allow some really nice range of movement. And I really do appreciate the fact that it is a ball joint and not a ball hinge, because we can get some really decent movement with that. You can see he does tilt to the side really nicely. Can't really look up on that ball joint. He can look a little bit down. He is on a ball hinge going into the ball joint, so his head can bury that far down into his chest. He really doesn't get too much upward movement unless you raise the joint up, and then you can see it does detach his head from his neck a little bit, but with some posing you can get around that, and that is regular for Figma figures. We do have a ball joint here at the shoulder, and you can see it does pivot forward and back. Although it's not the best range we've ever seen, it does pivot up and down slightly. Going out to the side, it only goes out to about right there, and yeah, it's not going out any further than that. And you can see it does go all the way around, no problem. We don't have a traditional bicep swivel, but we do have a swivel up here in the shoulder. We do have a single hinge here at the elbow, giving us just a little past 90 degrees. Because of the way his uniform is sculpted, that bunches up right there and it doesn't go anywhere past that. And of course we do get rotation down here as well. He does have your traditional ball hinge here at the wrist, so that does have up and down movement. You can move it to have in and out movement depending on how you have it situated. Now, I do believe he has a ball joint connecting into another ball hinge like he does his head, but I believe the ball joint is in the lower part because he does move forward and back really nicely. If we can gap him up a little bit, I can't really see in there. Yeah, it is a ball joint going into the torso downwards, and then a straight pin going into his chest, so that's what gives him some movement and some rotation. Really interesting. It's reverse of the head, and you can see it does leave him a little bit gapped. If you don't position it just right, you will end up with gaps, so do be aware of that. He does have a waist swivel, which works fine, and something that this figure does have is that his waist does pop up, so you can afford a little bit more movement. So that's a nice little feature. You can see it does move side to side really nicely. So moving on to his legs, he does have standard ball hinges, which only go out, well, ball joints I should say, they go out to about that far. They go forward pretty far. They gave us about 90 degrees, which is good. They go back quite a bit, so I do like that. We do have a thigh swivel up high, single joint here at the knee, but it does give us better than 90 degrees, so I do like that. Then we do get rotation on the joint. We do have rotation at his boot. We have a hinge in the ankle, which does go back and forward. Forward facing pin for rocker, although it's kind of stiff on mine. It might be because of how deep that joint is situated that it doesn't really afford too much rocker ankle. And yeah, the way his boot comes down, you're not going to get a swivel out of that joint, so most of the swiveling is going to be done here at the boot. Then finally, he does have a toe hinge. So overall, Todoroki here has some pretty decent articulation. Could be better in some spots, could be worse, but overall, it's enough articulation to get him to what you need him to do. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have Todoroki posed for my final thoughts, and overall, I really do like the way this figure came out. Don't get me wrong, he looks just like he does in the anime. The face is the only thing throwing me off about it. There's something about the way they design his face which is a little bit off, at least in my opinion. You might see Todoroki in this and say it's perfect for you, and that's your honest opinion. I can't really say anything about it, but to me it does feel like the faces seem just slightly off. I don't know if it's the paint job or what, but yeah, the faces to me are off just a little bit. Now, that's not the only issue I have with this figure. He is kind of light on accessories, and I do mean that because we only get 4 pairs of hands, and then we get 2 effects. One that you can see is clipped onto his hand, and then one that is basically an accessory for his foot. Now, that's not the most thrilling accessory you want to have for somebody with Todoroki's quirks. A little more fire and a little more ice would have been welcomed additions to this figure, but overall I really think that Todoroki here is a nice addition to the My Hero Academia Figma collection. If you are looking for your very own Shoto Todoroki to add to your collection, I did pick up mine from Big Bad Toy Store, and at the time of making this video, I don't recall if they're sold out of Todoroki. I know Uraraka was close to being sold out, same with Kirishima, but Todoroki I feel like might be sold out. If he isn't, he is going to run you about $100, which is pretty high of a price to pay, especially because you really don't get too much with him. But if you're a My Hero Academia fan and you want him in your collection, this is a really nice figure to have, and the articulation is very good, so I do recommend him for My Hero Academia fans. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Figma and My Hero Academia videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.